All right, joining us now with reaction, we have former Speaker of the House, Newt Gingrich. Mr. Speaker, how are you?
I'm great. And let me say, first of all, we just saw, I'm not sure all of our audience appreciates this. We just saw something that was theoretically impossible.
What's that?
This guy comes out of nowhere, decides to run for president of the United States, takes on 16 people, many of whom normally would be great candidates, and is now nominated. I mean, this is one of the most historic. The only two things comparable are Andrew Jackson in 1828 and William Jennings Bryan in 1896. This is unbelievable.
What do you think? Add Brexit to that and add this, and you're right. You're talking about some of the top governors, senators, former senators, governors running. Really all big names in and of their own right, big figures.
And unlike the traditional model of how billionaires do it, he did it cheaper.
Much cheaper.
I mean, it's unbelievable. This guy is so smart. He understands how America now talks to itself so well, and he understands the core problems that scare Americans so thoroughly that he was able to put together in a remarkable package a success that I think was literally unpredictable a year ago.
You know, it is an amazing story. He's been a politician only a little over a year. Nobody predicted this would happen, or very few people. Yeah. I mean, it was funny. I was reading actually quotes from some of the people that were running against him and some of the pundits, George Will and some other people. They could not have been more wrong more often throughout the entire year, and some of it's entertaining. Night 2 of the convention goes well. I want to go back to night 1 first.
One second first, though. Yeah. Just to remind our audience, all those guys who were wrong are now telling us about this fall. Why would you think they know anything?
Yeah, that's a good point. And some of them actually get paid good money for that.
That's exactly
That's a really good
point.
point.
You, too, could get paid a lot for being ignorant. Go ahead.
Well, wait a minute. I think I was right on myself.
You were right.
I was
not
right
about you.
I was also right about Obama, and I am right about Hillary, but that's a different issue. Let's go back to night 1. So I thought last night's convention, everything went smoothly. No big story. You've got everybody that thinks they're, Matt Drudge here. And they're walking around with their cameras and the handheld. If one guy is with a sign on the streets of Cleveland, you have 50 reporters following him. Okay, no negative story out of last night. So they try to lift 2 lines of Melania, who I thought gave a really incredible speech. English is her 5th language. Not first, not her 5th. A success story in and of herself. And here's Joe Biden, who lifted an entire speech of Neil Kinnock back in 1988. Here's Barack Obama, who lifted Deval Patrick's speech. Elizabeth Warren, you didn't build that speech. And the media, that was all they focused on today.
Yeah, it is truly crazy. If you had been here as we were last night, you'd say, first of all, the Sheriff Clark was like out of sight.
He knocked
it was
it out.
So good.
Right.
You'd say Rudy Giuliani was on fire.
On fire.
And the audience responded, and they were on fire together. And you would say that Melania gave a speech that was so remarkable that my model has been simple. You get Melania this week, you get Bill Clinton next week. Which spouse do you want? I mean, I just think it sets a standard for Bill that's hopeless. So the elite media sits back for 30 seconds, and they're terrified. And they think, oh, my God, she could become like Jackie Kennedy. She could become one of those amazing people who brings us together that we're proud of. You know, and I think she ought to offer, by the way, to debate in Slovenian any reporter who doesn't understand what she's doing. Because, of course, none of them could do it.
Yeah,
I mean, she's really...
By the way, imagine you go to Slovenia, or anybody in this arena goes there, and as your 5th language, you have to speak in front of millions of people.
She was remarkable. She was beautiful. She was coherent. She was poised. She came across well. I happen to be at a different network that's not all that conservative. They were blown away. One of them, in fact, said to me, his brother-in-law tweeted him during the speech, okay, I'm in. I'm for Trump.
Wow. In the middle of the speech.
So they sit back and they go, oh, my God, we've got to do something because this is a bases-loaded home run. Can we somehow do 2 things? Weaken it, and second, hit her hard enough that she decides to pull back from politics. And I really hope in her heart that she'll understand, yeah, this is a rough and tumble business, and yeah, these are some nasty people. But there are millions of Americans who identified with her last night, who were impressed by her, who will gradually come to love her as a first lady, and I hope she will stay in the public stage despite the elite media.
In other words, they wanted to intimidate her.
Oh, I was so mad all day today when reporters would come up to me, I would just pound on them. I'd say, you want to tell me about the Vice President of the United States who stole entire speeches from Neil Kinnock, the British Labor leader? You want to tell me about Barack Obama who stole large chunks of a speech from the governor of Massachusetts? Those guys don't buy that because, of course, they're liberals.
So everything works differently. Yeah. So let's move to tonight. You had some big people up there, Ben Carson, Chris Christie. I thought Don Jr., I was really blown away.